Honorable Speaker, sir, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers and Assistant Ministers, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise in support of the 2026-2027 National Budget that demonstrates responsible fiscal management while investing confidently in Fiji's future. When this government assumed office, we inherited not only economic challenges, but also years of accumulated neglect across many areas of government. That neglect was evident not only in our hospitals, health centers, government quarters, and public infrastructure here at home, but also in Fiji's diplomatic properties overseas. Mr. Speaker, I have personally inspected many of these properties. In Canberra, Wellington, London, and Brussels, visionary leaders of an earlier generation secured diplomatic properties in prestigious locations for the benefit of future generations of Fijians. Sadly, many were allowed to deteriorate to unacceptable standards. Deferred maintenance is never free. The bill simply becomes larger with time. And just as this government has shown the political will to restore our hospitals, government quarters, and public facilities at home, we have now begun restoring Fiji's chanceries and official residences abroad. These are strategic national assets, and we have a responsibility to preserve them. The opposition often speaks about the size of the national debt, but seldom acknowledges why some of today's expenditure has become necessary. Had these assets been properly maintained during their years in office, taxpayers would not now be carrying the much greater cost of restoring them. At the same time, Fiji's improving debt to GDP ratio tells a more accurate story about the direction of our public finances. Mr. Speaker, sir, this budget has been prepared at a time of continuing global uncertainty. Geopolitical tensions, disruptions to international trade, and the growing impacts of climate change continue to challenge economies everywhere. Yet Fiji has remained resilient. I congratulate the Honourable Minister for Finance, Commerce and Business Development, Honourable Esrom Emmanuel, for presenting a budget that balances fiscal responsibility with investment in Fiji's future. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and External Trade has an important role in delivering that future. Foreign policy is not an abstract exercise. Every market we open, all the investors we try to attract, every development partnership we secure, and every Fijian we assist overseas strengthens our sovereignty, our security, and our prosperity. In an increasingly uncertain world, Fiji cannot afford to be a passive observer. We must engage with confidence, protect our national interests, and ensure that our diplomacy delivers practical benefits for every Fijian. It is with that understanding, Mr. Speaker, sir, that I now turn to the work of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and External Trade. Mr. Speaker, sir, this budget supports the next phase of our mission given to us by the National Development Plan 2025 to 2029, providing continuity to the work that has been undertaken in the current fiscal year. The focus of the ministry is aligned to the theme of the budget being a responsible budget for a sustainable future. This is not an easy budget, Mr. Speaker, sir. The economic ground is undulating. Opportunities are unequal. However, the budget aspires to ensure that this government continues to invest in our people, strengthen essential public services, and lay the foundations for long-term economic resilience. It has been prepared against a backdrop of continued global uncertainty. Globally, economies are grappling with slower growth, persistent inflationary pressures, geopolitical tensions, supply chain disruptions, and increasing climate-related disasters. Small island developing states such as Fiji continue to face these challenges disproportionately. Yet, despite these global headwinds, Fiji has remained resilient. Mr. Speaker, sir, The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and External Trade is the principal government agency responsible for advancing Fiji's international diplomatic interests. The ministry is a steward of Fiji's international partnerships, advocate for regional voice, and a custodian of diplomacy that reflects Fiji's culture, values, and a vision for the future. And guided by the three pillars of sovereignty, security, and prosperity in Fiji's foreign policy white paper, the ministry advances Fiji's position in the world while serving the people with integrity, professionalism, and purpose. Our foreign policy will continue to be guided by our national interests, respect for international law, constructive engagement with all partners, and our enduring commitment to peace, regional cooperation, and sustainable development. That balanced approach has served Fiji well and will continue guiding our engagement within the international community. Mr. Speaker, sir, I welcome the allocation of this $56.6 million to advance Fiji's foreign policy priorities and maintain our existing international presence through our 14 diplomatic missions and 4 trade commissions abroad and the roving ambassador division based at headquarters. The overall allocation now includes the external trade provisions as a strategic investment in Fiji's sovereignty, economic resilience, and global voice. The Minister for Finance rightly highlighted that in today's global environment, it is important that Fiji remains connected to key partners and markets around the world. Our overseas missions play an important role in promoting trade, attracting investment, supporting tourism, creating employment opportunities, and looking after the interests of Fijians abroad. This allocation provides support for the continued expansion of Fiji's diplomatic footprint, with an operational allocation for our mission in Jerusalem and for the reopening of Fiji's diplomatic mission in Brussels. A total budget of $6.3 million has been allocated for both missions. These strategic investments will strengthen Fiji's global presence and advance our national interests. While Brussels serves as a gateway to Europe and the European Union, a key partner in trade, sustainable development, and multilateral cooperation, our mission in Jerusalem, on the other hand, strengthens historical bonds, expands diplomatic and technical horizons in a key geopolitical region. Together, these missions will deepen Fiji's engagement with key partners and markets, unlock new economic opportunities for trade and investment, and ensure Fiji continues to have a strong voice in regional and international affairs. Mr. Speaker, sir, the multilateral landscape continues to evolve with new global developments, creating challenges for developing economies, the politics of the North and the South, and the development challenges impacting small island developing states as a result. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are 4 key issues for Fiji. 1, ensuring Fiji's support for multilateralism. Fiji is fully committed to multilateralism, a rules-based global order, and cooperating with the UN on key global issues. 2, working towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Agenda and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. 3, utilizing multilateralism to address threats to peace and security in alignment to the Ocean of Peace Declaration. And 4, understanding increasing geopolitical risks in space, the sea, and on land. We are repositioning Fiji, Mr. Speaker, sir, whose voice must be heard clearly in the world's decision-making corridors. Through this strategic footprint, we ensure that when global decisions are made about global agendas such as trade, security, and climate, Fiji is not merely waiting for the aftermath, but what we would like to ensure that we are actively at the table protecting our national interests. The re-establishment of the Brussels mission, originally established in 1973, reverses the temporary closure forced by post-COVID-19 austerity measures in 2021. While our permanent mission in Geneva has worked tirelessly to cover European affairs in the interim, this arrangement has proven operationally inefficient. The extreme workload saturation in Geneva, significant time zone constraints, and the sheer structural complexity of European Union institutions necessitate dedicated, on-the-ground presence in the capital of Europe. By re-establishing a resident footprint in Brussels, Fiji returns directly to the table where critical global decisions on trade, climate diplomacy, and maritime security are negotiated. The embassy will actively safeguard our national interests and strengthen vital economic ties with the EU and the Organization of African, Caribbean, Pacific States, while providing direct consular support to our growing diaspora in the region. Mr. Speaker, sir, our overseas missions are the face of Fiji. Every visa that we facilitate, every development partnership secured, and every citizen assisted contributes directly to our national development. Over the past years, the ministry has worked tirelessly on reviewing and expanding Fiji's global footprint in terms of opening of new missions and reopening of missions that have been closed due to COVID-19 pandemic. The budget also includes initiatives on modernizing our overseas infrastructure because our diplomats deserve to be equipped and empowered to serve to the best of their ability. I call on our diplomats to bring back the return on investment that Fiji expects of them for the benefit of its people. There are refurbishment works planned for Fiji missions in London, Wellington, Canberra, and Brussels, and capital purchases in Beijing, Jakarta, New Delhi, Jerusalem, and Auckland Consular Office. This budget recognizes that fiscal discipline and strategic investment must go hand in hand. Like all ministries, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and External Trade will operate within tighter expenditure limits while ensuring that our core mandate of protecting Fiji's national interests abroad is not compromised. Allocation of tasks and resources, Mr. Speaker, sir, are critical to mission accomplishment. To navigate with purpose, the ministry is guided by the realities facing our people, their aspirations, and the obstacles we must overcome. We are moving with strategy, with intention, with conviction. At the very outset, I acknowledge with profound gratitude the reinforcements of our development partners, whose support is indispensable to the work we do and the path we are now taking. Foreign policy is no longer confined to diplomacy alone, Mr. Speaker, sir. Every overseas mission contributes directly to economic growth through trade promotion, investment attraction, tourism, labor mobility, climate advocacy, development partnerships, and consular assistance for Fijians overseas. This budget reflects our commitment to strengthening Fiji's international presence and improving services delivered through our overseas missions. As we manage resources prudently, we will continue reviewing our operations to ensure that every dollar delivers measurable outcomes for the people of Fiji. Mr. Speaker, sir, the ministry believes in the strength of Pacific solidarity. The Pacific Islands Forum Secretariat, as the custodian and defender of the ocean of peace, and other multilateral agencies such as the Pacific Community, or SPC, and the Melanesian Spearhead Group that promotes peace and development in the region. As a forward-looking approach, the ministry is proactive in identifying leadership potential within Fiji to serve the region and multilateral agencies. For this financial year, we will continue to work on two key fronts. One, regional leadership in the Pacific as the ocean of peace. We live, Mr. Speaker, sir, in a time of profound economic volatility and geopolitical tension. And for small island developing states like Fiji, we know that these are not abstract ideas, they're not abstract concepts. They are the realities that we live and that test our resilience daily. And core to Fiji's foreign policy is the region within which we exist. Strengthening integration, peace and solidarity within the Pacific is inextricably linked to Fiji's long-term aspirations for security and prosperity. This is why we have set out to place the Pacific front and center of our foreign policy with a Pacific family-first approach. And two, alignment of our foreign policy to support the implementation of the Fiji National Development Plan. Mr. Speaker, sir, global disruptions continue to reshape economic and demographic patterns, including internal migration and urbanization, requiring a forward-looking and coordinated national response. And as we navigate these complex geostrategic dynamics, our North Star remains the ocean of peace. This vision, championed by the Honorable Prime Minister, is now a formal regional cornerstone following its endorsement at the 54th Pacific Islands Forum Leaders Summit in 2025. This ministry will continue aligning its work with the National Development Plan by advancing international partnerships that support and strengthen energy, security, economic resilience, climate action, security cooperation, and regional integration. And in doing so, we will prioritize practical diplomacy that delivers tangible outcomes for national development. And consistent with the foreign policy white paper, our engagement will remain anchored in sovereignty, security, and prosperity, including through the continued strengthening of Fiji's diplomatic footprint. Mr. Speaker, sir, before I turn to the year ahead, let me briefly reflect on progress we have made on external trade. The 2025-2026 financial year was one of the most consequential in recent memory for Fiji's trade diplomacy. Under the EU-Pacific Interim Economic Partnership Agreement, or IEPA, the European Commission activated the Global Sourcing Derogation in July 2025, opening preferential access for our processed fisheries products and giving our exporters a genuine competitive edge. We launched the Fiji Trade Information Portal with World Bank support and commenced implementation of the WTO Fisheries Subsidies Agreement following its entry into force in September 2025. Mr. Speaker, sir, our regional and multilateral engagement also reached new heights this year. In January 2026, Fiji co-chaired and hosted 11th EU Pacific IEPA Trade Committee meeting here in Suva, bringing together IEPA parties to advance discussions on agricultural value chains, geographical indications, the regional covered development strategy, and preparations for the WTO's 14th Ministerial Conference, or MC14. In March 2026, I led Fiji's delegation to MC14 in Yaoundé, Cameroon, joining ministers from 165 WTO countries to advance our priorities on fisheries subsidies, disciplines, and recognition of the special circumstances of small island developing states. In addition, Mr. Speaker, sir, this Honorable House approved Fiji's accession to the Advisory Center on WTO law, a significant step that will strengthen Fiji's capacity to protect and advance its trade interests through access to specialized legal advice, technical support, and capacity building on international trade law. On the bilateral front, we secured a reduction in United States reciprocal tariffs on Fijian exports from 32% to 10% for processed commodities and 0% for agricultural commodities. And in November 2025, Fiji signed the Enhanced Economic Partnership Agreement with China. This year, for the first time, Fiji was invited as a special guest at Australia's 6th Ministerial Council on Trade and Investment. This provided an unprecedented platform to present Fiji's economic transformation agenda directly to Australian Commonwealth, state, and territory leaders. Mr. Speaker, sir, these were not isolated wins. They were the product of sustained, disciplined trade diplomacy, and they have positioned Fiji to enter 2026 to 2027 from a position of strength rather than catch up. It is on this foundation that we now build. Mr. Speaker, sir, our first priority is to operationalize the Fiji Trade Policy Framework, which will chart the course for our trade engagement for the next decade. Following extensive nationwide consultations across the Central, Western, and Northern divisions in 2025, the Ministry is finalizing the draft framework for Cabinet's endorsement with a formal launch targeted for late 2026. This budget allocates $56,250 to complete this work, ensuring that Fiji moves from the current policy into one that reflects today's trading realities and tomorrow's opportunities. We'll also press ahead on multiple fronts of negotiation, charting the way forward for Fiji's trade and economic development. An allocation of $250,000 for trade negotiations and meetings, together with a ministerial trade delegation budget of $80,000, will support our continued engagement in bilateral and multilateral negotiations, securing new economic partnerships, and strengthening existing ones in the markets that matter most to Fiji. We will build on the gains already secured and continue our work under the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, or IPEF, for which $78,750 has been allocated to implement the supply chain, clean economy, and fair economy pillars. Our overseas trade commissions, Mr. Speaker, sir, remain the commercial frontline of our diplomacy. This budget allocates $1.49 million to our Trade Commission in North America, $1.7 million to our Trade Commission in China, $1.53 million to our Consulate General and Trade Commission in Australia, and a further $490,000 for the New Zealand Trade Support Office. Alongside $11,250 for our trade facilitation program, these investments will expand market access for Fijian-made and Fijian-grown products, attract investment, and ensure our exporters have a dedicated presence in the markets that matter the most. And domestically, Mr. Speaker, sir, we'll continue modernizing the way Fiji trades with the world, building on the successful launch of the Fiji Trade Information Portal. Taken together, Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, these are the building blocks of our trade agenda for 2026. I'd like to thank the Minister for Finance, Commerce, Business Development, Honorable Esrom Emmanuel, for forward-looking and sustainable budget preparation once again for the 2026-2027 fiscal year. The new financial year, Mr. Speaker, sir, will come with its own challenges and opportunities. With clear leadership, national unity, and steadfast commitment to our values, Fiji will continue to stand tall, not only as a proud Pacific nation, but as a respected voice in the global community. And together, we'll continue building a foreign service that is responsive, innovative, and results-oriented. Mr. Speaker, sir, I commend the 2026-2027 budget to this August House. Nasa Value.